Welcome everyone to the Casual AOL stream number 2 that got quickly set up. My stream, personal stream, the AMO here, coming at you with the Sentinels versus Amber 2 match. And tonight I have Randomonium here with me. Welcome, man. How's it going?
Going well. Definitely excited for this matchup. Already, we've got a little bit of a switch up that's going to be going on the side of Amber O2. Their normal jungler is currently lined up in the top lane position, so they might be swapping their jungler and their top laner. So, what do you think about that?
They do. First off, they're bringing in a sub to play support, so maybe if it's just a better setup for their team to position their lineup this way because of the transitions and maybe the communication. So it kind of depends on how everything goes. But usually the top laner and the jungler, they kind of have the same sort of champion pools.
hmm
Slight differences, but I think that we'll be all set. Maybe it's a specific champion matchup that they want to play into.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it's probably something specific that they want to target in top lane, which makes me think that maybe they want to be more top lane focused for this game one. They did struggle against Sentinels in their previous matchup during the regular season. Sentinels won that head to head 2-0. So I think that I like to see that Amber is going for they're switching things up basically, and I'm very curious to see what they're going to execute, especially since they're on red side, which means that they're guaranteed a counter pick for top lane if they want it.
Yeah, so as we kind of touched a little bit on the champions and the players beforehand, so what type of things are you looking from Sentinels to do in this draft? Being that they are the 2 seed, they got the pick blue side for game one. What do you think that they're going to want to do here?
If I was the Sentinels coach, I would be recommending that they ban out the Pantheon, either the Shen or the Darius, and then banning out also the Caitlyn, and then first picking Jinx. Because if you look at Animal, which is the 80 carry for Amber, his two most played 80 carries are Caitlyn and Jinx. And the only other two 80 carries that he's played at all this season have been Misfortune and Ashe. Caitlyn and Jinx are extremely powerful right now. So if you ban one and you pick the other, and then you target towards that top lane with the other two bans, I think you're setting yourself up for success.
And with Amber O2 here coming in, like we said, with the roster change, the switch up a little bit. Is there anything in particular you would want to do a draft?
I would say that you'd probably want to focus more towards the solo lanes. So you want to try to attack the solo lanes of Sentinels. And if I was their jungler, I'd probably be playing around, especially around mid lane, trying to get mid lane ahead.
Yeah, so with the stats from Season 1, Amber 2 did like to play around their mid laner versus the Sentinels, who played a lot around their bot lane. With the two different styles here, do you think one favors the other in the current meta?
I think the bot lane centric it's definitely a bot lane centric meta. But if you can unlock your mid laner, or if your top laner has some type of roaming ability like the Pantheon or the Shen, then that also works pretty well. So it looks like Sentinels went for the Darius, the Pantheon, and then the Master Yi, which I think is actually a decent ban because ATX Gamer does have a 75% win rate on Master Yi in the jungle with 20 games under his belt. And then Amber O2, their last ban was the Jinx, which is very strange because that's going to leave up a first pick Caitlyn on the side of Sentinels if they want it. That would be what I would go towards if I was Sentinels.
Yeah, the other option would be that's not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah, their jungler does play a decent amount of Xerath. He's got 54 games on it this season. Amber responds with the Morgana Sivir, which is interesting. Morgana is the most played support for Monumental Kill, and it's also a takeaway from Scattercat in the mid lane. So that's definitely a very safe bot lane coming out. Morgana with a spell shield, Sivir with a spell shield. I think this definitely kind of shows of their hand that they drafted a really safe bot lane, and they're looking to play more towards around the solo lane.
Now, who plays the Xerath?
Uh,
I'm sorry.
their support, Balu 360.
Follow 360
He's
does. Okay, yes, you're right. He does. Okay, I missed that in the notes you gave me. I was more focused on the mid laner. I was like, Scatter doesn't play Xerath. So
Nope.
Jin coming out now. That is
his most played champion is Jin, but only by a little bit. I was actually expecting the Caitlyn instead. But this actually is dangerous because now you don't really have anybody that can deal with tanks. So I guess they're kind of crossing their fingers, hoping that Amber doesn't go towards any tank picks.
yes, and as we do have the Echo is the final pick coming up for Amber 02. Now that is something new from the mid laner because normally he will play the assassins, the Akali and the Katarina, but Echo, a new assassin coming in for him.
I'm not seeing any Echo games in either the jungler or the mid lane, so I'm curious to see where this is going to go or if it's the flex pick that they planned.
Tank top Echo, bring it back.
Galio is definitely a good ban coming out of the side of Amber. They're trying to get scatter off of those safe picks in the mid lane. Potentially, you might see a Morgana ban next. Or sorry, not Morgana, Orianna ban, or Malzahar would probably be the next ban. They would want to focus towards mid lane if that's what they wanted to go.
And
I don't know if we have a miss ban.
Miss ban, yeah, nothing came on through. We are in the playoffs, so unless Pro Draft Tool completely breaks down, that's just a misban.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Sentinels got surprised by that Echo pick, just like we did.
Yeah, so that's Galio, Orianna. The Shen is the last ban coming out, targeting both the top laner and the jungler. Both of them play Shen. So I'm very curious with this fourth pick. Amber 02 came in with a very interesting draft strategy. Definitely surprised us with the Echo pickup.
I mean, if they pick up something like a Silas now, they can that whole lineup can be a flex. Oh, that's never mind. That's a jungle.
So that's a Volibear. Gamer does play Volibear. I don't see that many games from Orf on Volibear, so I'm guessing that's a Volibear jungle. Echo most likely mid, so they're saving top lane for counter pick. Probably a good call. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the blind top laner for Sentinels.
I mean, you do have a Sivir that helps the Volibear run on in, so we do have some synergy there. Malzahar, going to try and lock.
So yeah, that was the last pick that Scatter had. So he's going again towards a safer mid laner in the Malzahar. Malzahar can just basically clear waves for days, and he's pretty safe with a spell shield and the Kale blind pick for top lane.
That's also not a champion that we've seen played by Fordeo in the
he's got a couple games in solo queue, but he hasn't done particularly well on that champion. I don't know if he's been practicing it in normals or anything like that. Oh, and the Fiora, so top lane has gotten very spicy now with these last two picks. So Orf has only 7 games on Fiora this season. He's got a 57% win rate on her. Looking at previous seasons, I don't see that much Fiora in there as well. So it looks like the challenge has been laid down. Amber is investing very heavily in their mid lane and their top lane with a very safe bot lane. So it looks like it's going to be Sentinels is favoring the bot lane and Amber is favoring the solo lanes.
And that's sort of what we predicted. Coming in, you specifically pointed out that Sentinels play around their bot lane. Amber 02 with the roster movement chose to focus on the solo lanes, and that's where they play normally around, especially around the mid lane. So there's just a lot of mobility coming out of Amber 2, and not a whole lot of lockdown coming out of Sentinels. Do you think that how should they use that to their advantage this game?
It's going to be very curious. I think that Sentinels has got to try and force Amber into fights around neutral objectives. Meanwhile, Amber is going to want to. Looks like they're setting up for a 1-3-1. That's a pretty. It looks like a pretty standard 1-3-1. Sivir is amazing in just clearing waves in a 1-3-1, and you've got both the Echo and the Fiora to be your split pushers, and then Morgana and Volibear are both very good at disengage. It's going to be interesting to see if Sentinels is able to bait Amber into those neutral objective fights like Rift Herald and the Drakes.
Now, with Sentinels, what do you think about the poke that can come out of the Malzahar, Xerath, and Jhin, and as they set up for, let's say, like a 4-1 with the Jarvan as their main tank frontliner?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for poke and just dive, basically. Just They have a lot of burst damage between the Xerath, Jhin, Jarvan, Malzahar. They all got a lot of burst damage. It's just a question of whether or not this Kayle cannot fall too far behind, so she's able to match either the Echo or the Fiora in the side lane.
And I'm not as familiar with the changes to the new Kayle. Do you think that there's an advantage to have her in one lane versus the Echo or the Fiora?
That's going to be very difficult to judge. I mean, Kayle is going to lose against both of them up until mid-teen levels. I mean, level 16, I think she definitely will turn the tide unless the Fiora is really far ahead. If he goes up against the Echo, it's basically going to be, Echo Ultimate versus Kayle Ultimate. Both of them can deny a kill, which will be very interesting. The problem is that even if you match the Kayle into the Fiora or the Kayle into the Echo, you're only covering one of the split pushers. So if you don't create action with your 4 in the mid lane, then you're going to start losing towers to one of those split pushers.
And so, we said use the towers. Now the setup for the split pushers to get, their split push on, and the individual groups doing the early jungle action. How proactive does Jarvan have to be against the Volibear?
Jarvan does not win against Volibear early. So the Jarvan basically has to gank where the Volibear isn't. If the Volibear is there to counter gank, the Jarvan is going to lose any 2v2 or 3v3 that has the Volibear involved. But Jarvan has a lot more mobility, and his ganks are a lot stronger, especially in the early game. So the jungler on the side of Sentinels needs to track the Volibear, and he needs to be very particular with his ganks. And they need to be very fast with the ganks. They need to basically jump in, burst them, get out before there's a chance for the Volibear or either the Fiora or the Echo to teleport.
Now, is there a particular lane that is the juiciest that you would want to gank as a jungler for either side?
If I was going to be ganking, I mean, you want to try and get the Jhin Xerath ahead. The problem is that Sivir Morgana is just such a safe lane. So yeah, I think the Jarvan is going to struggle because these are a lot of really safe laners. I mean, Fiora is just a lot stronger than Kayle in the early game, so you're kind of hesitant to gank that lane. And then Malzahar versus Echo. Echo is very slippery, especially once he gets level 6. So maybe you can gank the Echo pre-level 6, and then maybe you start looking to gank more bot lane once the Jhin and the Xerath get a little bit more damage under their belts.
Will the junglers do a gentleman's agreement handshake and do top bottom jungle?
Potentially. I mean, it seems pretty clear that that the Sivir Morgana lane is just set up just to survive. So actually, the Volibear could invade the blue level 1 and potentially start vertical jungling. And if the Jarvan doesn't realize it, then he's going to get 3 buffed. That actually is probably a pretty good call if the Fiora, Volibear, and Echo move into top side together.
And then the last thing is does Kayle, if we kind of break down, does Kayle, you can't go Klepto in this match, right? You kind of have to go.
You could. It's risky. But Fiora's before level 6 isn't crazy good, but she's still pretty decent. So I guess it's a good question of how confident the Kayle is. I do think that there's, based off of just the ranks, it does seem like there's a skill disparity between the Fiora and the Kayle. The Fiora is pretty higher rank than the Kayle is, so it's just a question of how comfortable the Kayle feels on that champion.
Now it's now all this can change, right? Because the Dragon RNG can be greatly favored one way or another. Rift Herald, just an outplay. Do you try and set up for an invade if you're the Amber 02? Do you go with Morgana level 1 going in?
Potentially. You could go with the Morgana and then the Volibear flip, but Volibear traditionally doesn't want to take his Q level 1. He wants to have his W. His W does have the execute, so maybe that works. I think the safer play would probably be to invade the top side. I think that would be a good call to try and basically isolate the Kayle, so that way the Fiora gets a pure 1v1 against the Kayle.
And the longer you keep Kayle down, the less likelihood that Sentinel's ability to 4-1 can succeed. You just pick on the one player.
Yeah, the other thing is that the only person who's going to be able to deal with the Volibear in late game is the Kayle. So if the Volibear groups up with the group of 3, and he just builds straight tank, the poke damage isn't going to mean much of anything to the Volibear, especially if he gets a Warmogs. So this Jhin, Xerath, Malzahar combo, Volibear can just stand in front of them and take that poke damage as long as he's not too far behind. So it's very. This is actually a really, really interesting draft. There's very contrasting styles, and I think this is really going to come down to which team executes better. You basically have a very traditional 1-3-1 split push. It's just basically saying, "Can you stop me?" as opposed to a kind of a scattered team fight composition coming out on the side of Sentinels. They kind of have a lot of poke. They've got a decent amount of catch. They've got a little bit of split push. They've got a much more well-rounded comp. While Amber is just balls to the walls, 1-3-1, try to stop me, basically.
Well, we have the other war. Sentinels win the skin battle. Volley and Echo, they're wearing their normals. Where are their beautiful skins? I like the Dark Star lines. I think that's probably the best of all of the available skins here.
Interesting. Fiora went press the attack. Kayle did go the Klepto. Jarvan went electrocute, so it's going to be interesting to see whether he goes for Cinder Hulk or Warrior. Those are the only ones that seem kind of interesting as far as the rune choices.
Now, the press the attack on the Fiora, do you think she could have gone with Grasp, maybe?
Grasp or Conquer is what I was thinking. I guess press the attack might be better in a dueling situation.
There's not really a tank. There's Jarvan. If you're hitting on Jarvan, you're pretty much...
That's true.
Conquer. You get the press the attack marked a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Have you
standard 5 points from both teams. What was that?
Have you loaded in?
Yeah, I'm loaded in. I'm at 48 seconds, 49 seconds, 50 seconds.
Oh, hit pause.
What are you at?
The load screen.
Oh, you're still at the load screen?
Still at the load screen.
Okay.
Oh.
Might need to reload. Yeah, don't worry. Nothing's happened. Just standard 5 points from both teams.
An error has occurred. Great.
So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of poke damage coming out from the bot lane of Sentinels. This Jhin Xerath is going to be very interesting. Yeah, there's a potential that you could play, or that the Jarvan could play around it. It just depends on whether or not Sivir and Morgana are able to save their spell shield with all of the long range abilities they're going to be coming out.
So, yeah, just tell us what's happening, man, because my client completely crashed and I got to reload.
Oh, I paused. I paused for you. I'll still talk about some matchups.
Okay, well, you can hit play because it's not going to let me go. It will go wherever the game is at whenever I get in. It's not going to let me start from the beginning.
Okay, so
the game's already started.
Currently
I'll catch up to you.
1 minute and 15 seconds. I'm going to go at 2 times speed right now so I can catch back up. Both teams are 5-pointing. Jarvan is starting on red buff. Volibear is starting on blue buff, so both bot laners are leashing for their junglers. Jarvan immediately goes into blue side jungles, now clearing his wolves. Volibear is also on his wolves on the red side of the map. both teams are trading a little bit, but so far no all-ins. Fiora gets level 2 first, but first blood for the Fiora immediately. She all-ins because she gets level 2 first before the Kayle, and that's going to be Kayle TPing back to lane, still level 1. Jarvan's on top side, just cleared his blue buff, now has level 3. Looks like he's going to try and potentially gank top or get the top scuttle. Fiora's already warded, so she will not be able to get that gank off. Oh. Volibear looks like he's going to contest at the top scuttle. Nope, Volibear's going to back off a little bit.
Okay, I'm at 337, 38, 40, 41.
Okay,
42.
I just sped up, and I'm there now with you too. I'm at 45, 46. So yeah, Fiora gets the level 1, already going really hard in the top lane. And there's a slow push going away from the Kayle. So this is a really, really bad situation for Kayle. Kayle cannot step up at all. And basically, the Fiora can just freeze her out right now.
We got some jungle action going down over the Rift Scuttle as the Flag and Drag came in and got the proc. But the Volibear flips the Jarvan out. So each got 1 Scuttle. But Volibear's going to do his Gromp. Going down to the Krugs is the Jarvan.
Echo's going hard in the mid lane right now. Doesn't land the stun.
That is something to say. These teams have been pretty active on the get-go. As Volibear win in for invade, get a red buff or a ward placement down. Let's see what's going on there. Oh, scatter. Flashed out. So flash down on the Malzahar, flash and teleport down on the Kayle like you said up top. Fiora just teleported back up to top lane with a Vamp Scepter and a refillable. So she's gonna be full health for a long time.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if the Kayle tries to go for an early Executioners. Definitely is not normally in the Kayle build path, but traditionally you need Grievous Wounds to deal with a Fiora. And also with the Volibear, Volibear has a lot of healing as well. So Grievous Wounds may be a good pickup against Amber. Now
most of the Kayles that I've seen at Worlds have been AP as Volibear comes in here with the flip and with no flash, this Kayle is gonna die. And
unfortunately Volibear takes the kill. I would have wanted to give that to the Fiora.
Volibear showed up, spent some time up there. He deserves. I mean, we're at 33 to 18 CS right now, so.
I also think it's a mistake that the Volibear didn't stay to help push the lane, unless it's actually going to freeze onto the Kayle. No, that's going to push. That's going to definitely push.
They're going to slow push him because Kayle doesn't have teleport.
Yeah, but you could have denied a lot if you pushed that wave in. And potentially have gotten a plate. So I do think that that was a mistake. Personally, I think that was a mistake, but it'd be interesting to see how they play it now that the Kayle is getting back into lane.
I think that Volibear spent his time up there and has figured needed to get back onto the lower half of the map as fast as possible, like you said, to try and protect this bot lane. I know they are playing safe, but this Xerath and Jhin have already pushed in. They get the first plate of the game at at 6.5 minutes, and they're doing an excellent job down here. So just as top is winning for Amber, Sentinels are doing a really good job down in the bot lane.
Yep. Jarvan just got spotted on a ward, so that gank is not going to work. Looks like bot lane's going for a reset.
So with all this fighting going on, Echo has been able to get level 6. Jarvan was not able to get off a gank in mid, whereas Volibear was able to get off ganks with the farm lead is on the side of Jarvan. Do you think that's going to impact how the rest of this laning phase goes?
No, Jarvan is more of a ganking jungler. He doesn't scale that well. I definitely would like Jarvan to be a little bit more active in this early game. As the bot lane is pushing out right now, I think he should be looking for bot lane gank once Sivir Morgana passes the halfway point.
See how top lane, and there's the poke, and it looks like Jhin, first item, the longsword and boots. So getting ready as Kayle's going to actually get all in here by the Fiora. Able to walk back the tower, is level 6, so can ult if needed. There's just so much poke coming out from this, Xerath Jhin bot lane. Morgana's lost almost all of her health.
Yeah, and if the Jhin and... it looks like they're not going to try and freeze it. Yeah, they could have froze that under tower and forced the Sivir to step up potentially for farm. But it looks like they're going to try and push it and instead try to trade for plates instead.
They were pushing hard. I think maybe their plan was to try and maybe get set up for a dragon, but with the scuttle had been taken earlier by the Volibear, just did not allow a good setup there. Morgana has backed. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Sivir gets land on that. It looks like flash out isn't going to be enough. There's the Xerath ult and the Jhin ult. That is so much long-range damage. And the camera. Why did you directed camera? It took me back up the top lane. Oh my gosh. It showed the Jhin and Xerath both setting up in their artillery ults, which looked really awesome. I didn't even think about how that. And then as soon as Sivir died, it just went straight back to top.
Another all-in in top lane.
Jeez. Oh. Ooh,
yep, there's the kill.
Not in time to get the ult off. As this should be a free dragon here with the bot lane control that's coming out from the side of Sentinels.
Yep, I think that's definitely... You definitely don't want to contest if you're the side of Amber.
Malzahar just
yeah,
hanging out, being Malzahar.
That's actually a really good Drake on the side of the Sentinels because that's going to basically limit the amount of sustain that this bot lane can get. Jarvan forced to flash out, but definitely good to deny this sustain options for this bot lane. And then also giving the Kayle a little bit more sustain is going to be very useful for her to deal with this Fiora.
Yeah. Jhin placing a ward. Nice deep ward by the Volibear. Pink ward on the cross from the red buff. And there's the ult coming out from Malzahar. Ult coming out from Echo. Just had barely enough mana left to survive that. Is going to have to run it back to base. As Malzahar will probably be able to safely push this up and get it back off himself. Or is Echo's going to risk it. But
yeah, I don't see any reason to risk it like this. You can just back and TP. You've got the TP advantage right now.
Your jungler's coming in, that's why you risk it. But the flash is back up on the side of the Malzahar. It looks like you're going to actually tower dive this, and success! Coming out.
Wow. Very well played on the side of the Volibear and Echo. Good job punishing. So yeah, this it's almost like we got a script going on right now. Top lane and mid lane on the side of Amber are ahead, and bot lane on the side of Sentinels are ahead.
And the dragon, because the bot lane control over the side, there's just so much poke, there's just too much to spell shields. And there's the double artillery ults coming out again. I don't know what to call this. We got to come up with a name by the end of this match. As down goes Animal to the fourth shot from Jhin.
Jesus. That's brutal. It's a brutal bot lane. I played against bot lane before, and yeah, it's awful.
So as we take the 11-minute mark here, Fiora is up a full K already, but in return, you know, the Jhin is up, you know, 1.5K, and Xerath is just chasing Morgana like all the way to tier 2.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Yeah, this is a tale of two maps right now. Bot lane for Sentinels, mid and top on the side of Amber. Another potential all-in for the Fiora.
Ult comes out. There's the Kayle ult in return. Jarvan's doing his best farming right now, but he has yet to show up in a lane. I'm surprised by that. Oh, there, yeah. With no Kayle ult. Push up
Fiora's going to start really whacking on these towers because she did get changes to her kit, which allow her to take towers much faster now. I'm actually surprised that the Volibear isn't prioritizing the Rift Herald because they have complete and total control over the top side of the map right now.
At which point do you have to lane swap? Rotate your bot lane to top?
I wouldn't lane swap because you want to keep the Fiora as a win condition.
I was talking about Sentinels.
Oh, you're talking about Sentinels lane swapping? Yeah, I think they could definitely lane swap right now, and that could potentially give them a little bit of respite from this Fiora, and also would set them up to potentially take the Rift Herald. But if they don't lane swap, then the Volibear definitely wants to go towards top lane.
We got the jungles running into each other here by the red buff as Volibear is going to go in. It looks like the Flag and Drag, so double knocked up into the Cataclysm, and this is just going to be a dead volley bear as he's trying to tank it out, and though he's going to be able to survive with his passive, he just gets hit by nearly, I think, everything. There's one artillery, there's two artillery, and there's just too many super long-range ult shots coming out from those two champions.
And yeah, actually the synergy between this Jarvan and the Zera, the Jhin combo is actually pretty interesting. If Jarvan can get a 2 or 3-man ultimate, you have nowhere to run.
It's literally literally shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very interesting combo that they have.
But the turret plate's going down here in 30 seconds. Fiora's gotten 3 in the top lane. Malzahar's gotten 2 in the mid lane, and the bot lane has gotten 2 for Sentinels as well. So they're doing an awesome job, and there's the flash coming out on side of Kayle. Kale's having a rough time up here in the top lane. Yep. And I think the sooner she gets it out of this lane, the better. But at the same time, the longer that... oh, great stun in the bot lane. There comes in. It looks like there's going to be enough. As Morgana is going to, gold that one out. And there's the flash, and here comes in, and flashing out on the side is Jhin. Jarvan's down here for the counter gank, but here comes Echo. Go back down to the bot lane, guys.
Looks like they're trying to set up for this Drake that just spawned. Infernal Drake just spawned. So actually really well-timed gank by the Volibear and a good roam for the Echo to set up for this Infernal. It's going to be interesting to see if Jarvan goes for the Smite Steal.
Go to large camera here. There's a teleport. Fiora's teleporting in onto this pink ward. She's going to run on the side. Jarvan's just waiting. There's the flag and drag. Not going to be enough. He's going to die. Yep. Oh, I don't know if that was worth it. We'll see if... Oh, no. Jin's going to walk right in this Fiora. Oh, that is a level 11 versus level 8. I don't care how fed you are going down there.
However, the Fiora is giving up a bit by that TP into the bot lane. So Kayle is going to get some time on this tower.
Oh, she's going to finish off the Xerath. Now, great riposte to get the stun. Wow. Yeah, that's quite a bit of damage. Malzahar, trying to get everything onto the Echo here. This is going to be a one-woman wrecking crew here in a little bit. Random.
Yep. Echo had used his ultimate in that Drake fight, so that was actually a good play from Scatter to try and use the Malzahar ultimate to burst out the Echo while it was still in cooldown. He should be able to get a little bit of mid priority. The Volibear is waiting, potentially, to... TP coming in. Scatter... Oh, great job by Scatter. He sensed the danger and backed off.
So, while we have a wolf real quick, I didn't introduce a player. 4Deos is on top on the Kayle. Arcia is on the Jarvan jungle. Scattercat is on Malzahar mid lane. Grubby Nation on Jhin 80 carry. Blue 360 is on the Xerath support. Orf is on Fiora top lane. ATX Gamer on Volibear jungle. Kazuye on the mid lane Echo. Animal on Sivir 80 carry. And Momentum Kill on the Morgana support. Hooray. Normally we do that like during the intro, but they decided, Fiora's just going to tower dive. Yeah.
Okay, she's able to do it. She's far enough ahead.
Oh, just land. Oh, nice flag and drag, but I don't. Oh, Jarvan, you're dead. You are very dead.
Ooh, just barely makes it out.
Yeah, but Echo's here. Echo's flashes in. Does not pop the ult, so we have the solo laners up top getting multiple kills, and now we have the artillery crew in the bot lane setting on up. Brandemonium, you're part of the military, right? If I remember correctly. What?
Yes, I was.
What do you call like an artillery? Right? That's like a battery, right?
Artillery battery.
I may be getting my terms incorrect. There has to be some type of sweet name.
I mean, this is pretty much a broadside from the side of Sentinels between this Jhin and this Xerath. It's like a battleship broadside, basically.
Just firing all guns. So Malzahar going to step up, try and prevent this from going down, but Echo's going to be able to ult back out, cancel out that one. Nice flash from Scatter to get back, but they were able to pick up the... No. Oh, there he goes. Someone's got to go back and pick up the Rift Herald.
So Echo winds up picking it up.
So tower for tower traded in the top to the bottom. Which team do you think that favors?
Ooh, did Xerath steal that? Xerath stole the scuttle.
No, Echo has it.
No, it stole the. Sorry,
Oh,
the
Scuttle Crab, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say that the tower trades are now 2-1 in favor. They're up 1K in gold. How is this? Are they going to be able to set up properly, or is this Fiora just going to be too much?
I think the Fiora is godlike right now. Good rotation on the side of Sentinels in order to get that mid lane tower down. That's going to really open up the map. I'm actually very curious why the Fiora is going top lane, because the Jhin is most likely going to match, because that's the last outer that's available, and Jhin is their strongest person.
Oh, Fordeo once again walking in. I think they're just trying to get some Sivir, some CS. While Kale's died 5 times, still up 10 CS to the Sivir.
That's true.
So I think maybe that's what they're trying to go for. Just get her to 1 item.
Yeah, right now the Sivir isn't. She's farming jungle camps as opposed to anything else. I think the Sivir needs to recall and go top.
Well, there's 5 men here from Sentinel. They know that there's one objective. Dragon is not. Sorry guys on the timers there. Dragon's not for another minute. So, or 30 seconds, I guess. They're just going to trade the Dragon for the top outer. But there's the Rift Herald in mid lane.
This is actually a good play by Amber to trade mid lane for top lane.
Scatter teleported down to mid. Kale's teleporting into a minion.
Whoa.
Oh, right into this, and Echo's just going to have to flash out immediately. Here comes the Xerath artillery, and oh my gosh, the Morgana nearly dies. Volibear is going to come over to protect, and is going to flip the Malzahar, who stepped forward too far. Great Kale ulti prevents all the damage. In comes not enough Cataclysm from the Jarvan. Going to finish this one off. Ignites popping back and forth, and there comes the Jhin ult coming off. Not close enough as flash in from Xerath is going to try and not enough. One more final auto takes down the Fiora. All the time, Sivir's pushing in the bot lane, but the shutdown goes down onto Xerath. All of that gold. And now they get to get the Fire Drake for free.
Yep, I definitely think that Sentinels is out-macroing Amber right now. They've had some really good plays. They got the top lane, and the TP play was a little bit scary, but they were able to make it work, especially with the Xerath rotating with its ultimate. And they were able to get quite a few shutdowns. Sivir did get the tower and bot lane, but if I'm Sentinels, I'm taking that trade every day of the week.
Yeah, Scatter being able to push this one back up as the teams reset. Volibear's ward, by the way, it's 20.5 minutes, still right across from the red buff. No one has stepped on it. As Echo's going to try and all in the Malzahar here. Steps over for the shield. Does not get the speed boost, gets reset. So we've reached 20 minutes. Baron has come onto the map. We got completed items down the line. 1 for everyone except for the Fiora, who has 2. Fiora has 2 completed items at 20 minutes. That is impressive.
Yeah.
Where
So looks like
here?
they're trying to funnel as much farm as they can onto this Fiora. Because the Fiora's got the TP, I would want to put her in bot lane. I know that's a bit early to start looking to take Baron. But there's no real reason to have the Fiora. Ooh.
Oh, that's. Oh, jeez. Oh! Does not get the Vinyl Brox on the ult, so. Just one step too far.
Yep. Well, if you're going to try and invade into the jungle, you have to set up that vision first. A really good play by Scattercat to set that trap for the Fiora. The Kale is looking mighty juicy for bait. But the Fiora needs to stop giving these shutdowns.
Now, it's interesting that we haven't seen Echo go off to a side lane yet. They've just sort of kind of tried the 4v4 in mid for the while the taking down Fiora on the side lane. Do you think they'll? I mean, do you think it's gotten to the point where Echo can go into a side lane, or does he have to finish the Witch Bane?
I don't think anybody on the side of Sentinels can match the Echo. TP coming in from the Fiora to top lane. She looks like she's going for the Kale, but winds up going the wrong way.
Oh, jeez. Chase is on. Kale's just running. I don't even know if Kale knows that Fiora teleported. I don't think they have any idea. She didn't walk past any wards or any minions to get there.
So right now, Amber is not setting up their 1-3-1 the way they want to. They need to have the Sivir in mid lane. Or they're going to potentially lose this tower. And you don't want the Fiora to group. Just send that Fiora into a side lane.
And there's the double artillery coming out. Echo's going to have to ult out. Does not. Drops down to the Xerath bar.
This Fiora is wasting a lot of time. She needs split push. You got to play to your win conditions.
I think she wanted to try and flank, but I don't think that's going to be helpful right now.
Yeah, it's a Fiora. Fiora's not very good at team fighting.
Oh, there's just so much poke coming out between the Malzahar Q and the Xerath Q. Jin W. It's not a lot of damage, but once you get locked down, it's pretty easy for them to do point-and-click abilities. Ooh, nice binding by Morgana. I don't think it's going to turn into anything. Oh, here comes Fiora. She's been out on the map. She spent almost 2 minutes in those bushes and flash out on the side of Grubby Nation and heal to see if he can peel. And it looks like they're going to try and actually turn this back in, and they will. There's the root, and Cataclysm, they just like dump everything on the Fiora. We do not want to see her on the map anymore.
Yeah, the whole point of the Fiora is you want to be able to be farming every single lane. You want to get that experience advantage so nobody can contest you. So that way you basically create pressure because the enemy team has to send 2 people to stop you. By standing in that bush, you're not creating any pressure on the map, and that allows for Sentinels to basically push for free right now.
Controlling these side waves, and Sentinels have just decided that they are not even going to try and do a 4-1 and put Kayle or someone in a side lane by themselves. They are just going to group up as 5. That's the second time they've done this to take a tower.
Yeah, there's no reason for them not to group up as 5. There's no pressure being generated by either the Echo or the Fiora. If they created pressure with the Echo or the Fiora, then that would force Sentinels to split up. But Sentinels has got the better 5v5, so they want a group. They want to be in this configuration if possible. Amber needs to split them up, needs to get that death ball broken up if they're going to have a shot.
Echo bounce on here. I mean, the issue is here. I mean, Sivir only has 1 item. Volibear has a Tiamat. I mean, the Echo's almost got the Lich Bane. It's Fiora's the only one that's ahead on the side of Ambro 2, right? Then maybe they don't feel comfortable enough as a group of 4 to just hold anything.
I mean, Sivir's got wave clears for days. Even on a single item, she should be able to clear these waves with a single QW.
That was a second Infernal on the side of Sentinels, and Fordale teleported to the top. I mean, I guess he didn't need the back to buy anything, but it's interesting to see how they are going to maybe set up around this this Baron now.
Yeah, Fiora's got to get into... Actually, Fiora's TP is down. Echo's got to go bot lane. He should be bot lane. He should be just hard shoving bot lane. Put the Sivir in mid lane. Keep Fiora in top. And just keep those lanes pushed past River. And then the other thing is they got to get more wards down. In a 1-3-1, I actually... I know that typically you would have the jungler go for sweeper. But if you're doing a 1-3-1, I would favor having the yellow trinket or even a blue trinket to get more vision down so you can make sure that your split pushers are able to split push effectively.
Jarvan is elected to go for the yellow trinket as Xerath is the only one with the red trinket at the moment here for Sentinels. Not a whole lot of pink wards, but there are a ton of vision out on the map currently. So Amro 2, I think, has done a better job as a team at placing vision and trying to control that aspect of it. They just don't seem to be playing optimally around it at the moment. As this Fiora saw, could see them coming. There are multiple wards in the river, just either not realizing it in time or tunneling too hard on what was happening in lane.
I think it's a good counter push on the side of Amber to try and get the mid lane tower. Ooh, they do catch the Kayle. She does have her ultimate.
That's a good ult. Sivir just going to focus the tower. It's not going to stay alive any longer. It looks like Sentinels are going to trade, go 2 for 2 in the towers. Malzahar's teleporting back. I do not like that teleport. I would rather base race it with the oh my gosh, you're going to flip Malzahar. You're going to go down. Oh, great Zhonya's on the side, but they're losing as Volibear going to live. We have a base race going on right now, man.
Yeah, right now Sentinels is in the lead, but Fiora is up. This question is, can the Fiora stop this split push? Or stop the group of 3?
3 versus 1, 4 versus 0.
She needs to just focus on clearing waves as fast as possible. She's got tons of life clear. Ooh, Jarvan flashes out. Fiora goes down. Oh!
Oh my gosh,
the
Sivir!
lead right now.
Sivir! 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 We had a base race!
Wow. What a game.
Those didn't match any of the conditions we led up to this for the first 25 minutes.
It was looking good, but the Sivir was able to push faster than the Jhin was able to, and the Fiora was able to delay just long enough in order for Amber to get that win. So, wow.
Like, they got the tower first, and it's literally just because they had 4 members versus 3 members. Because Sentinels got the top tower and the top inhibitor before Amber was able to take down the mid inhibitor.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were able to push in, but Fiora coming up meant it was a 3 versus 1, like you said, and it was a 4-0 in the bottom until the towers.
The Kayle, the Kayle's death was a little bit staggered from the Fiora, so the Fiora being able to come up before the Kayle allowed Fiora to stall long enough in order for Amber to close out game 1. So wow.
That is definitely not how I expected that to go.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised the Sentinels handshaked into that because they obviously had superior macro. They were the team with the superior macro, and to go for that base race, to go for that coin flip, seemed a little bit rushed.
Yeah, I mean, the damage dealt is, I mean, even the Kayle was able to pump out damage to champions, like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's just not a whole lot of damage from that group of 4 on the side of Amber, but they were...
Yeah, they just had faster. They had faster wave clear between the Echo and the Sivir. They just had faster wave clear, and the Fiora was able to stall out long enough. So yeah, this is very interesting. Sentinels needs to regroup. I would want them to slow it down a little bit more. They obviously had better macro than Amber. Amber, I really liked that they went for the 1-3-1, but they didn't execute it very well, in my opinion. So it's going to be curious to see if they're able to remedy those problems that they have.
Yeah, that was super interesting in game 1. So we're gonna take a break here as we get into the next game, and we'll see you all back here in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 in the Demacia Division semifinals between Ambro 2 and Sentinels. This is the AMO back with Randomonium. Dude, that last match ended with a base race.
Yeah, it was a very interesting base race. I'm very surprised that Sentinels hand shook into that because they seemed like they were the team that had the better macro. It's going to be interesting to see what changes they make to their strategy and their shot calling in this game because it looked like they were on their way to win that game before Amber stole it away with that base race.
And Ambro 2 has come out quick and fast with the bans. They got rid of the Morgana and the Xerath and the Jinx, so only keeping the Jinx. Sentinels keeping the same first three picks of Darius, Master Yi, and Pantheon, and Amber, who banned Nautilus in the first round in Game 1, insta-lock Nautilus here in Game 2. So they definitely have a plan for this bot lane to hopefully stand up to Sentinels bot lane, because it was rough against the dual artillery champs of Jin Xerath.
It was pretty rough. I would actually wouldn't be surprised if a Caitlyn comes out for either of these teams. Leona coming out. Leona's pretty good into Nautilus. I think Caitlyn's probably the best pickup here for AD carry. So if they pick up the Caitlyn, that's a good steal away from Amber.
What they do. As the Sentinels, you said that they had better setup for the macro. Now they took more towers other than Ambro 2, other than one, and that, like I said, is the base race. They're going with the Jin again into the Caitlyn Nautilus. That's just a lot of CC if you get, hooked onto by Nautilus. You got the hook, the auto attack, and the Caitlyn trap. You're pretty much done.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they went back to the Jin again, especially with the Nautilus, because the Jin tends to struggle against tankier champions. If they draft a tanky jungler as well, the Jin may struggle a little bit. Ryze coming out on the side of Amber 02, so it looks like they're still going more towards the potential split push options.
And who is this a pick that can be flex both top and mid? I know that we've seen that at Worlds, but I don't know. I'm not sure if the top lane on the side of Ambro 2 will play the Rise.
It is definitely something you can flex. I only see it in their mid laner's champ pool. He's got 14 games on it. And Lissandra coming off, that's most likely going towards Scattercat. He does have a few games on it, I thought.
On the Lissandra, yeah.
So it looks like Sentinels does think that the Rise is mid lane, so they're banning out the Fiora. I think that's probably a good call. And the Jarvan ban coming out as well. So the next most played for their jungler was the Warwick. So that might be his go-to pick next now that the Jarvan is banned out. And if they want to really target ban the Sentinel jungler, I would say Warwick would be the next ban that they would want to go towards.
Now, if you're Sentinels, you just ban out another top laner here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Shen, I think that's a good ban as well. If they ban out Fiora, Shen, those are two pretty strong split pushers that could go to the side of Amber.
Shen is also something that Amber will run to help support their bot lane. In this case, you don't want their top laner trying to come down and help the lane that you want to crush really hard.
Yeah, so it looks like they there was a huge skill disparity, it seemed like, between the top laners. So it's good that they tried to ban out the Shen to prevent them from trying to equalize. It looks like there were skill disparities top lane and bot lane. Mid lane was pretty even. It could be influenced by both junglers. So it's going to be interesting to see who the junglers prioritize for ganks. Ooh. Going back to the Kayle.
Going back to the Kayle. Okay.
That's very surprising, especially since they had the counter pick in top lane. I would have picked the jungler here and then save the top lane pick for counter pick. But I guess they feel like the Kayle is the only thing they can go towards.
Or is it that they just feel that he took some bad trades against the Fiora and wasn't able to scale? I mean, he'd get off some decent ults once they didn't even. There was no grouping last time, so we didn't see any like sweet Kayle ults to save anyone.
Yeah, so that's the Jax coming in. Jax is a pretty terrifying split pusher as well. So Amber is setting up for the 1-3-1 yet again. It's going to be interesting to see if they have better execution. And the Sejuani as the final pick, that's going to be actually really difficult for the Jin to deal with. And the Trundle coming out, the old school counter pick, Trundle into the Sejuani. But actually, lately, it hasn't been that bad of a counter pick for the Sejuani recently, especially since Trundle has taken some nerfs.
Yeah. Well, also the not only the Trundle taking nerfs, but the Sejuani taking a little bit of hits as well. So
That's true. Yeah, they're both relatively weak if you look just like straight like solo queue stats, but in competitive play, they're very strong. And actually, Sejuani pairs really well with the Jax because the Jax can stack up her stun as well. So you can basically get Counter Strike into the Sejuani stun, into the Sejuani ultimate, and that's a ton of crowd control. And Nautilus has more crowd control than pretty much any champion in the game. So lots of crowd control coming out on the side of Amber. It looks like they definitely still want to set up for a 1-3-1. Caitlyn's pretty good in that type of a setup. She can clear waves pretty fast, and she can prevent dives with her trap line. And then the Nautilus is very good at dissuading dives because has an AoE slow, and then he also has his ultimate where if he casts it on the furthest person away from him, he can basically get knockups on the entire enemy team.
now, one of the things you said is the 1-3-1 that Amber 2 wants to do. Now, they didn't really execute it to the maximum of their ability in the last game. Do you think Jax allows for a lot better team fighting? The same with the Rise than the Echo and Fiora did?
Yeah, Jax is definitely a better team fighter than Fiora. Rise and Echo are both, I'd say, equal team fighters, but Rise gets pretty scary in the late game. Once he gets a couple items, he can be really good in a team fight situation, especially since you get the guaranteed spell flux now since they've changed him. It's going to be really interesting if this Jin is able to cut through the Nautilus and the Sejuani. I think they're going to be very reliant on Kayle in order to cut through the two tanks on the side of Amber.
Now, the Sentinels didn't seem to have any problem with the tanks in the last game, the Volibear.
Yeah, that was mainly because they got so far ahead, though, with the Jin and the Xerath. Now with the Leona, there's a lot less poke damage coming out, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can get as far ahead in this game.
With the Sentinels, do you think they're looking, for more of a pick comp for the 1-3-1? Because, you have the Leona, the Jin, they can set up for a pick, Lissandra, Trundle.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pick potential and AoE type potential coming out on the side of Sentinels. That tends to be favored into a 1-3-1 composition. So I think that Sentinels does have the advantage going as far as the draft is concerned. It's going to be a real question if they can still show that superior macro and if they slow things down and don't go for anything crazy like a base trade. If Sentinels slows it down, I think they have the advantage, even if the Jax or the Rise get ahead.
And in particular issue, we didn't see anyone. The Dragons were basically all non-contested. The Rift Herald was not really contested. No one even approached the Baron in the
there was
first
no
match.
Team fights. There was pretty much no team fights the entire game.
So if teams were to set up by a 5v5, would it just depend on who layered the CC better to start off the fight?
I think Sentinels has got a huge team fight advantage. If you're comparing like just the way that the amount of AoE crowd control they have, combined with the Kayle and the Trundle for the DPS damage that they have, and the Lissandra passive recently got buffed, which makes Lissandra a lot better in team fights. If they get a single pick, basically the Lissandra passive kicks in, and that deals a lot of AoE damage to anybody else. It's kind of almost like a brand ultimate.
Yeah, the extra frozen explosion coming out on the side of the Sentinels. So we got some Frost Queens here coming up. What is there in any particular matchup that you want to focus on, like going into this early game? Do you want to see the bot lane trading action again? We've changed out 3 of the 4 champions. Do you want to see how well Fordale can make a return trip on the Kayle up in top lane?
Yeah, I definitely am going to be looking to see if Kayle can stabilize this game against the Jax. She struggled a lot against the Fiora. And then also I want to see if Amber O2's bot lane is able to survive a little bit better now that they don't have that double poke lane They've only got the Jhin going up against them. And then I'm really curious to see where the junglers go, because we saw that it was like top lane and bot lane were lopsided. Mid lane was pretty even, but the junglers were not very active, at least from in my personal opinion, on either side. So I would want to see the junglers be a bit more active. I think that the Sejuani pairs really well with the Jax on the side of Amber 02. And then I think on the side of Sentinels, Trundle with his pillar pairs pretty damn well with the Leona and the Jhin or the Lissandra. So I think that Sentinels would be more mid and bot focused. I think Amber 02 would be more top focused.
So basically, both teams are playing back into their conditions from what we said. If you watched game 1, Sentinels is a bot-focused team with some mid help. Amber 02 is a solo-focused lane team. And that's the way that they've gotten their wins, and that's how they've taken their objectives. And they're both playing to those conditions with these team comps yet again.
Yep. Yeah, so definitely I think that the drafts show very clearly what each team prioritizes. Each team has very well-defined win conditions. It's just going to be a question of which team is able to execute to those win conditions better. In general, I think that it's much easier to run a catch composition or an attack composition than it is to run a 1-3-1 composition. I think that the difficulty level is much higher on 1-3-1. It requires a lot more communication. And then additionally, catch compositions and attack compositions traditionally are very strong into split compositions, because that's what catch compositions, attack compositions are good. They're good at picking people when the team is split up, basically. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
So how do we get to the point where you can put the split pushers to go, right? Because we kind of talked about it from game 1. The Fiora got to that point really quickly, right? She was able to capitalize in her lane and get her lane set up for the split push. But the rest of Amber 02 did not succeed at getting to a point where they felt comfortable enough to either execute a 1-3-1 or even a 4-1 with the Fiora off on the side. There were a couple times where she got, she just was doing a lot of nothing. How do you get the other 4 people to help out your split pusher?
I think you have to have proper lane set up in the mid lane, in the mid game. You have to have the Caitlyn with the Nautilus in mid lane. You put the Jax out on the side lane. You put the Ryze out on the side lane. And the big thing you're looking for in a split push composition is you want to have equal pressure in all 3 lanes. So you want all 3 of your lanes to be at the same point in the map. So you don't want any one lane pushed that much further than the other lanes. And basically what that does is that anytime you push a lane too far, that's going to create basically a target for the enemy team to attack.
So we have a question that kind of gets into the final late game scaling here. Which team eventually, like 6 items across, people say Jax is one of the late game carries, but Kayle is known to be that super late game carry. So if this goes super late, doesn't that swing the advantage back in Sentinel's favor?
Yeah, I think if it goes super late, Sentinels has the easier win condition, and teams that have the easier win condition usually win. I think that Amber has got to play very smart in the mid game, and they need to. So the advantage of a split push composition is that you get 3 lanes of farm. You get 3 lanes of experience, and you're able to invade into the enemy jungle, steal away jungle camps as well, so that your mid laner and your top laner have a 2 or 3 level advantage over the opposing team. They need to really take advantage of that. If you see the Jax or the Ryze at equal levels to the Kayle or the Lissandra, then the split push composition is failing. That's like a really good indicator of whether or not a split push composition has a chance at winning.
Okay, so we didn't talk about the skins, but we're already out onto the Rift because my League client worked this time. So on the side of Amber 02, they are up 1-0 in this best of 3. They're on the blue side. Orf is on the top lane with the Jax. ATX Gamer on the Sejuani jungle. Kazu, I always pronounce his name wrong. I'm sorry, man. Ryze mid lane. Animal, Caitlyn 80 carry. Momento Killer on the Nautilus support. on the side of Sentinel trying to come back in this Fordeo, playing Kale back up in the top lane. Asari, or oh my gosh, people, make your names easy to say here. On the Trundle in the jungle, Scattercat on the Sejuani in mid lane, Grubby Nation back on the Jhin 80 carry, and Baloo 360 on the Leona support.
So both teams are going for a standard 5-point. Again, it looks like either team wants to go for that coin flip at the level 1. Again, we're seeing blue side start for the red side jungler and red start for the blue side jungler. So both bot lanes leashing. And it looks like both junglers are going to probably want to contest that top lane Scuttle Crab. I typically think that Trundle has the advantage at that level 3 mark as opposed to Sejuani. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not this Jax is able to get the advantage in top lane.
Now, Jax has taken the Conqueror because there are actual tanks that he has to fight this time, and the Fiora did not have to fight tanks. So, but being a lot more careful, Fiora he was going all in for the level 2.
Yeah, I think he's trying to keep this lane relatively even until he gets to level 2. If he gets to level 2 a lot faster than the Kale, then I would expect him to all in again. I don't know which ability he leveled up first.
He has leveled up E first and then Q.
Ooh, bot lane got level 2 first. They're all in the Caitlyn. So that's Flash burn by the Jhin, Ignite burn by the Leona, and Flash and heal. Yeah, for the Caitlyn.
Yeah.
So yeah, both teams not respecting the level 2, it seems like. So in game 1, it was the Fiora getting the level 2 first that wasn't respected. In this game, it's the Jhin and the Leona getting level 2 first that wasn't respected.
Uh-oh. And Flash out from Kale right as Jax hit level 3, all in the Kale on top lane. So these power spikes in the early levels, both teams doing a best job. As it looks like Leona's going to go in, and down goes Caitlyn, but it looks like we're going to trade kill. There's the heal to save the Leona. So this bot lane, Sejuani's going to come in here, but she's only level 2. And Nautilus...
Oh, that's very...
Oh, this is risky. Nautilus is only level 2. Goes in onto the Leona, who's level 3 now. They're just going to unload all of the damage.
And the lane did get pushed in, so it is going to reset. So Jhin and Leona can back, knowing that they will get a lane pushing towards them, which sets them up very well.
Jax was able to escape the Trundle running at him in top lane, while the bot lanes were having jungle fun.
So the Trundle is able to get top Scuttle Crab. Sejuani got bot Scuttle Crab. So the Sejuani wisely avoided the Trundle because they were going to meet in top lane together. Jax is coming down to try and protect the Sejuani's blue buff. Definitely a good play for the Jax. He was able to do that because there was basically just a slow push coming into top lane.
I mean, he ran away from when there was 3 waves crashing in the tower up top. There wasn't anything for him to do when the Trundle really showed up.
But right now, the bot lane on the side of Sentinels is pushing away from them, so that could set up another all-in for the Jhin and the Leona.
Jax is going to jump in here onto the Kale, and we're going to see what's happening to get the slow. And Sejuani's going to come over here, and there's the Proclassing, and there's the Q. And final, one last auto. Down goes Kale up in the top lane. So just like game 1, bot lane focused Sentinels getting some kills in the 2v2, and one jungle gank up top is going to put the split pusher really far ahead.
So again, the Sejuani didn't stay to help the Jax push out his lane. Lissandra teleported top lane, not able to get the Jax. Jax does have TP, so he should be able to come back to this lane.
Lissandra was able to get some nice push in on the mid lane. Push Ryze out, back. Hasn't used any potions yet.
That's actually very surprising since they did nerf Lissandra's wave clear pretty heavily. But she was able to get a bit of a push on.
Ryze is backing now. Must be able to pick up the tier.
Sejuani's coming in for another gank, but Jax is giving up a lot of farm in order to get this gank off.
Oh, but I think it's totally worth it to get this Jax going. A return kill? No, not enough tower shots onto the Jax. As
the Sejuani needs to help the Jax push out this lane now to allow him to get a reset.
Nope. Not gonna
Nope,
happen.
not going to stay. Okay. I disagree with that, but it's up to them what they want to do. Because that second wave is going to be able to push out fast enough. So now Jax has to push another wave if he wants to be able to get the reset.
See here, Trundle's gonna be able to. I'm not Trundle. Just take the dragon. Don't back. Just take the dragon. Your bot lane is crushing. Your mid lane has got the push. I mean, it's the control, right? You're like we talk about this as Leona goes in with the stun onto the Nautilus and trying to get the sealed up as aftershock procs both ways. But like if your laners control bot lane and mid lane, dragon's basically free.
Yeah, it is basically free. Trundle has a pretty good Drake take as well between his chomp and his frozen terrain. Now he gets a pretty nice attack speed steroid.
It is an ocean, so that attack speed steroid is reduced. And he hadn't bought yet, so maybe he was just waiting to buy.
I mean, I guess he probably figures that his bot lane has complete control so that he can take it whenever he wants. So he can basically come back, get his blue, and then go into the Drake.
But these early oceans for Sentinels should definitely be something that they should capitalize on. It's something, as we see, you know, can be extremely helpful. Especially
very sneaky lane gank that the Sejuani's setting up right now.
Sejuani is not 6. Not even now is only halfway to 6, so she's not gonna. She's just waiting. Maybe Trundle's not gonna do gank.
Very surprised that Jhin and Leona were able to sniff that out and they didn't go aggressive at all. They got very passive as soon as that Sejuani showed up, even though she didn't walk over any wards.
Now Trundle's turn. Is Trundle gonna blast cone in? Trundle's gonna probably either blast cone in or blast cone in. Nope, he's gonna go for a gank. There's Rise, hits the vision cone. Knows that they have the speed buff.
Jax just popped his ultimate. He's going all in against the Kayle. Kayle popped her ultimate.
Return damage. As Trundle's going to walk. Is he going to go? Nope.
He's playing super cautious. I'm very surprised at how cautious he's playing right now.
Interesting. As the top laners and Kayle with the potions is actually going to be able to survive a lot longer. Plus the heal. It is actually up in CS against this Jax who has killed the Kayle twice.
Yep, I mean the Kayle did get some favorable setups. I mean, the Jax did have to sacrifice a lot of farm when he got that gank. I think the Jax has got it back now.
Yeah. Sejuani going to come back down here for a gank. Steps on the pink ward as the bot lane from Sentinels should probably just hit that last minion and peace on out. As it is going to... Oh, Nautilus, excellent job for freezing that wave outside tower range.
So you can see that Rise's wave clear is now getting to the point where he can compete a little bit with Lissandra. And it looks like Kale's going to get a plate in top lane.
Oh my gosh. After last game, Sejuani, if you told me that Kayle was going to get a plate in a solo lane, I would have been relatively shocked. As the Trundle went over to get his red side jungle, and Lissandra's going to go in here with the ultimate. We're going to see it. There's Lissandra coming out, and they finish off the jungler. We're going to see this happen. Caitlyn's going to lay down some autos here, and with an explosion, as Caitlyn's actually going to be the one taking out the dragons. Lissandra's going to flash over the wall, as she does have red buff. Now, there's the EQ coming out from the Leona. I guess it's E, then Q. As we're going to see Trundle miss the pillar. We're going to see if they're going to be able to finish off the Nautilus with the ult. Does go down, but Caitlyn taking the dragon that Sentinels could have taken earlier, but a good job by Ambro2 to take that objective, but a little scattered on their way out.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication. You saw that the Rise flashed over the Dragon Pit, but the Nautilus was going back in. So a little bit of miscommunication on whether they were trying to go out or go in. Nautilus winds up getting caught. The Caitlyn put down 2 traps, so if the Nautilus had actually gone up towards the red buff rather than going back down towards bot tower, he would have been able to get out because they would have stepped on the traps that the Caitlyn had laid. So just a little bit of miscommunications, but good job by Amber to be able to get that Drake even though their jungler went down.
And now Fordeo's the one without any potions, as Orph's the one back up here with full health. As Jax is going to maybe try and all-in the Kayle before she can get a chance to back by Vision. So, lot slower game lane-wise compared to game 1. But we have more tower plates taken on the side of the Sentinels here.
Yeah, if I'm Sentinels, I'm pretty happy with this early game. The game state is pretty even. Your Kayle is not as far behind as she was before, and you are well on your way to scale up into that mid game.
And there's Kayle teleporting back up into the top lane here, as the junglers just keep walking around. And I mean, bot lane's not as far ahead as Sentinels as they were last time, but I mean, you're not going to be this far. They were pretty far ahead in game.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the next step here? Are we going to see the teams fight over the Rift Herald?
Yeah, I would definitely be
fight it all.
I would definitely be going towards the Rift Herald. I mean, I feel like Sejuani Jax is such a potent combination that they should be going for this.
Oh, Leona's going to go all in here on the bottom, and there's the Nautilus ult comes out on the Jhin, so can't get the 4th shot off as Caitlyn returns. So Nautilus ult for pretty much nothing. Just some health.
Yeah, so that definitely favors the Sentinel bot lane, but
oh no, Leona's going to go in here, and Jin's going to place down the E, but here comes Sejuani. She's going to come over the wall, and there's a teleport coming in by someone, and the top lane looks like Ryze is going to be able to flash in onto this Jhin, who's going to try and flash on out. Heal's already been used. There's the spread of the Essence Flux, and down goes the Jhin as 4 people pile in onto the Sentinel bot lane. Excellent job by Amber02, taking on that aggression from that the Sentinels have been putting out in bottom lane all the time.
Yeah, definitely a very strong play. I definitely like what Sentinel's doing is trading for mid tower. Trundle's very good at taking towers with his Chomp. And then Lissandra does have Aftershock, and she does have...
Ryze,
what's it called?
Realm warped back in as Caitlyn is working down on that tower, but Kayle is up top getting yet another tower plate for herself. So 2 plates down top, 2 plates down. Bot Jax is actually teleported into a ward and is going to jump in onto Kayle. And it looks like we have flash in by Jax to make sure that he lands that. And ult comes out on the sail, tries to get some return damage in. And see Jax going to jump back in. Kayle, you're out of mana. Let's see if you can get that finish off. Nope. Everyone's running all of their potions. And healing Jax one more time is going to go in and see if he gets the stun. Takes 1 tower shot. Kayle living with just the smallest a little bit of health. If you're in Jack's jump range, you're dead. And you're... Oh! Ooh. In midair! Fordeo definitely playing a lot better in this game on the Kayle compared to what happened in game 1.
Yeah, that was actually very surprising. I think the Sentinels is pretty happy with what's happened in the past couple minutes. They got a lot of turret plates in mid lane. Kayle's able to get that 1v1 solo kill against the Jax. So yeah, it's looking very good for Sentinels as long as they keep playing slow. I think they've got a pretty nice lead going into the mid game.
Yeah, so they definitely got the advantage of the tower plates. We just sort of kind of touched on them. Now that they have fallen off, Dragon is coming up here in 15 seconds. I keep forgetting to hit that button because that button used to not exist. That tells you with the timers. As that's going to be Nautilus walking. Oh, that's a really rough time. As Sejuani does land the ult. It's back in. Oh, just you walked right into Trundle, Leona. You're not going very far.
I will say that I feel like Trundle is using his pillar a little bit too soon. I would like him to try and stall it out a little bit more to try and layer that CC a little bit better. But definitely a very good setup by the Trundle, just waiting that bush, knowing that Amber was going to want to try and contest for this break.
Oh, Sejuani's going to come over the wall. Let's see who's get the better snipe. And Caitlyn actually gets a second dragon. Oh my gosh.
Wow. What a snipe by the Caitlyn, and the Sejuani gets out with the flash as well. Very impressive. Actually, Sejuani could have used that blast cone and then used her Q to get out, but instead Q'd over the wall and wound up having to burn the flash.
So, Caitlyn with Qs have taken 2 dragons.
And these drakes are actually pretty important. If you get that, you get the stain from the ocean drake, you get the movement speed for the from the air drake. That's very useful in a split push composition.
Jhin going to be in trouble here. Does not have flash or heal, and that's just Nautilus CC coming down for you. And yeah, you take 1 step and you step on a trap because you have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, that is the power of the Nautilus Caitlyn combination. If Nautilus lands some CC, that's pretty much a guaranteed trap. But this Kayle is really turning this matchup on its head. She's the one who's now the aggressor against this Jax.
She has hit level 11, so it does have 2 points in the ultimate, as Sejuani maybe thinking about going over the wall. Yep, does go over the wall. We'll see if she throws her ult out. Does not have ult, does land the Q here. And, oh, listen, there's the flash from Kayle out safely. So, nice.
Yeah, if I'm Kayle, I'm actually pretty happy with that I didn't wind up dying. The flash, obviously, you don't want to burn it.
Lissandra's going to go in here. Let's see. Oh, flashes with the stun and then lands. Oh, both Ice Queen ultimates on top of each other.
First tower may go down if this Lissandra sticks around. Ryze is trying to push as hard as he can in mid lane to try and answer.
Trundle's going to show up here in the mid and just walk straight to minions.
We still have 3 minutes left on this Rift Herald. I want one of these teams to try and take the Rift Herald before it expires.
We had like 6 towers down at this point last time, Randomonian. Do you think that because of the way the game ended, that either team is playing it more cautious this time around?
I think Sentinels realize that if they just slow it down, they have a better chance of winning. So I think that Sentinels is wisely slowing the game down, and Amber is not accelerating in the way that I hope that they would. And it looks like Sentinels is going to go for the Rift Herald.
And there it goes. Let's see. Trundle is the one picking up. Now, which lane are you busting open?
I mean, the Kayle should be able to get the top lane, so I would definitely help the Kayle push out. Or actually, the Kayle will push out the top lane on her own. Trundle can get the Scuttle Crab control. I would go mid and drop it mid, because that tower is about to fall as well. And mid lane is where you really want to get that opened up.
It just needs to get its charge off. You can just drop it. I mean, it's risky to just run up to the lane and drop it, but you could.
Yeah.
That's what I think he's looking to set up to do.
They could potentially be greedy and just try to force down the lane without the Rift Herald, and then use the Rift Herald for bot lane tower. But that definitely has a higher risk, but also higher reward.
Look, Nautilus just took all 4 shots from Jhin, and with his shield is still like above half health. And just auto-attacking the minion wave the entire time, just to get this lane pushed in. So Caitlyn can get some time with the tower. Sejuani's down here to, take it as well, so we finish this out. Kayle's actually take the top tower. Jhin opens up the fire, trying to get in. Nautilus is going to try and not get on the ult as Lissandra's come in, got off 1 stun. And there's the Ice Queen on Ice Queen action yet again. And Frozen Sejuani explodes as Kayle and Trundle up in top lane, pushing in. Jax died sometime. I missed Jax's death, but it had to have happened up top. Trundle's actually summoning the Rift Herald up top for a tier 2 tower. Oh, this is not good for Ambro 2. The gold just sweetly swinging in Sentinel's favor.
Yeah, he's probably going to get a charge off on the inhib tower if they don't stop it. And now we've got an Infernal Drake spawning in 20 seconds, and Amber still has to answer this Rift Herald, so that should be an uncontested Drake if Sentinels rushes to get there. The teleport's coming out from the Kayle going to bot lane. Smart play. They want to try and rush this Infernal Drake as soon as it comes up.
And Ryze had backed off in the mid lane, and so Lissandra's going to be able to get the control push here in mid. Leona's going to try and lay down some vision. Let's see if Caitlyn can get another one, or if she's going to even try.
This is pretty risky if they try to go for it. Yep, they wind up just giving it up. They're 5 stacked in bot lane. They could potentially go for a dive.
They don't have any minions. It's diving into Nautilus. He's got so much CC. You have to layer your stuff down really well.
Yeah, it's definitely very risky if they try to go for it.
Oh, they're going for it, and down they go. And Lissandra with the self-ult. Great job to peel that one off. as Jin actually has to flash out of tower because Jin was the one tanking it after all that damage. As down goes the Nautilus finally from Kale, but Jin having to teleport or having to flash out because Jin was the one who took tower damage on that dive meant that they were not able to push on any further as Lissandra has to teleport back to mid lane. Jax has got the split push up and top, so they got a kill and they took bot tower, but they lost tap, outer, and mid lane. I don't think that was worth it for Sentinels.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was worth it. They definitely, I like the aggression, but you definitely have to be very careful when you're doing that turret aggro. The Lissandra initially took the turret aggro, but as soon as she went into stasis, she drops turret aggro, and whoever's closest to the tower winds up taking it, and that happened to be the Jin. So the Jin was basically cut off from that fight. You need to have one of those tanks be able to take that turret aggro once the Lissandra drops it.
Yeah, I think it was Leona was supposed to take it next, but Leona went out of the range. Like,
Trundle took it for a little bit, but then he had to get out of range. Jin took it, so...
And by that time, it had already fired off multiple shots, so it was a powered-up turret auto attack, and it just...
Yep.
Jin's like, I can only take one of these.
Yep.
But an outer, pretty easy here for Sentinels to lock down. So we've got 4 towers to 2 on the side in favor of Sentinels because the top lane with the Scuttle was able to take out 2 there. It's pretty early for Baron. Sentinels aren't... Kale's not at the point where she's a good Baron taker yet, and neither is Caitlyn. Neither is Jax.
Yeah, neither team can take Baron, so it's really just a question of how the teams manage their side lanes right now. Actually, if there's an advanced strategy that you can do where you can actually freeze the side lanes, if you're able to, when there's no neutral objective for the enemy team to take, and you can basically deny a lot of farm to the enemy team's side laners. I'm not sure if top lane is going to be able to be frozen, though. Especially not with the Kale pushing.
No, not with the Kale pushing. So, we talked about setting the 1-3-1 up for Amber 02 versus the group here for the side of Sentinels. And how do you go about setting it up? It looks like, once again, they're putting Animal back down in bot lane, trying to collect the wave, rises in mid. Jax is collecting stuff in top. Do you think it's just they're kind of set in their, I don't want to say solo queue ways of where people go?
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. I mean, it's much more favorable once you get into the mid lane to put your AD carry in mid lane and then to put your mid lane and your top laner in the side lanes because they're higher level, they're able to duel more effectively, and they usually also, we've got 2 TPs that are available, so if a fight starts in mid lane, you can TP both those people into the mid lane.
Everyone's sort of collected their items here. As we look across the gold, Kale is up 1,500. Jungle is up about 500 for the Trundle. About another 600 on Lissandra. Jin is up just about 300-400, and the Leona's up 1,500. So that's where your gold difference is coming from. And as teams start to get into their secondary items, is one team going to have a power spike that's going to come real quickly here that they're really looking forward to?
Caitlyn's mid-game power trough is pretty legendary, and looks like the Caitlyn's not going for. There's a new build that Caitlyn does where she gets a second crit cloak that kind of levels out her mid-game power slump. Doesn't look like he's going towards that build. He's going just a more standard Infinity Edge into Zeal item build. So yeah, I think that right now Jin is at a pretty large power spike on 2 items. So I'd say that right now Sentinels definitely has the advantage. Once Caitlyn gets to 3 or 4 items, it starts swinging back into her favor. And I do think that the Rise will outscale the Lissandra as well.
So the final outer tower has dropped as the Sentinels just hand that one over as they're trying to kind of collect here. Now their bot wave is pushing into them pretty hard. It is hitting the tower as the Ocean Dragon is spawning here, and they are on top of him, ready to go. We may actually have a team fight, Randemonium.
Let's see if they're going for it. Jax is still in top lane. He does have teleport. There's no wards that are nearby, though, except for the one in that brush.
Okay, Nautilus looking as Kale's going to shoot poke on out, and looks like we're having some damage come across over the pit, and they just hand it over.
So
well, that was fun. 5 minutes till Infernal.
if you're gonna make that call, if you're gonna be Amber, and you're gonna say, "Hey, we're not gonna fight for Drake." Push some lanes. Don't just stand there and watch the Baron or the Drake get taken. Try to get some advantages. If you're saying, "Hey, Jax, keep split pushing," then you should group the other people in mid lane and try to get at least mid priority, and then retreat towards top lane. And maybe you were able to get top inner during the rotation.
And just some movement around. It looked. I mean. Now, as you said, the Sentinels have a pick comp, but they have a pick comp into a team fight comp versus they don't have an engage comp. I mean, Leona can engage, but that's not, you're engaging on an individual. You're not engaging as onto like them as a group, as a team. Whereas Sejuani Nautilus can really engage into like 4 or 5 people if they want to. Do you think that's dissuading the lack of team fights right now?
I think that Sentinels does want a team fight. I think that Amber is just not handshaking into it, and Sentinels doesn't want to overextend more than they have to.
So they're basically waiting for Sentinels to, like you said, overextend, go a little bit too far in their dive to pick someone off, and then return with the CC.
Yeah, I'm still very confused why they're not sending the Rise to the side lane. I don't think I've seen him leave mid lane for most of the game. But Sentinels is sacrificing quite a few waves. They let one wave die to mid inner, and they let multiple waves die to bot inner before the Drake fight.
Yeah, and there's Leona engaging in. This is the pick that they got onto Rise. Kayle ult comes out to try and get the slow. And there's the pick we just said.
Yeah, they definitely want to go back towards Baron. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of pink wards in their inventories, so they can't be sure that the Baron pit is clear right now. But I definitely say they want to start it, and at least try to see if the enemy team is going to check into it. Kayle is the real one that you need for the DPS damage, though.
Jax is down here fighting with Lissandra, so they're just playing it out as there's no real check at all. As Sejuani has decided this, I'm going to try and collapse down on the Lissandra. Nautilus is the only one that's up here. In goes Jax. We'll see if Lissandra can escape this one here. She's going to self-ult, and nope, and flash that one out. Missed ult on the side of Sejuani, but that's just too much CC. Oh my gosh, and the Zhonya's. How long can you be in stasis?
So that was pretty good by Lissandra to just stall for as long as she could, but winds up going down to the Jax and the Sejuani. Still, I'd still be pretty happy if I'm Sentinels right now. You got Baron on people, and you should be able to just group as 5. I mean, there's no real reason to split up. You have a better team fighting, I think, at this point in the game.
Yeah, that's definitely what they did. And Jhin is in the top half, maybe going to go get red buff, pick up the buffs before they decide what. I mean, you push bot lane, right? You don't try and push top lane or mid.
I would say you push if you're gonna push 2 lanes, you'd push mid and bot. But I definitely wouldn't be sending my Jhin alone into bot lane.
As we do have a minute 30 coming up on the next Infernal, and they definitely will want to pick that one up as they look to try and focus here, push in with the Baron-empowered minions.
Yeah, the problem is that the Kayle took some time to clear that Scuttle Crab, so now your waves are mismatched. So you're going to be able to clear that mid lane wave, and then the Kayle's going to take quite a bit of time to be able to get her wave down to this inner tower, so you're wasting a lot of time on Baron right now.
Jhin is doing a lot of damage, taking almost a quarter of the health from Rise. Lissandra's here to help with the group of 4, as Kayle is pushing in bot, and now the waves are set up a lot better.
Yep, waves are set up a lot better now. This should be able to allow them to get at least 1 tower. They're sending both the Caitlyn and the Jax in the bot lane. So this is the cue for the mid lane group to advance forward and try and get a little bit more tower damage down. And they definitely want to try and protect that cannon minion.
Ooh,
get those tanks up there to protect the cannon minion.
Hook. And down goes the tower in the bot lane. Kayle was able to take that one down. She is level 17 to level 12 Caitlyn. That is extremely dangerous. You're playing with fire down in this bot lane.
Yeah, you definitely want the Rise or the Jax to be trying matching that split push as opposed to the Caitlyn. Put
Jax
Caitlyn in mid lane.
is here, and now mid lane is dropped, and Dragon is spawned. We'll see if Sejuani
Kale
wants
needs
to
to
go
back up.
Yep.
Kale needs to back up. She's the only point of pressure now, so she should recognize that and start backing up. Yep, good job at the Kale.
Over. There they go, on to the dragon. Sejuani over to the pit, and you were just locked down. That is not gonna... I mean... I know you're trying to get another Infernal, but... At some... Or get an Infernal so they don't have two. I just don't know at that point if it's worth it to go solo into 4 members.
I mean, it sometimes is worth it to sacrifice yourself as a jungler. The Baron's not going to be up for a while. There's no real other objectives that they can take. Yeah, you give over the 300 gold, but at this point in the game, the Infernal might be worth more than 300 gold if you're able to steal it. So I can understand. Both. Either you just say give it up, or you can say go for the steal. Definitely glad that they didn't try to commit more than one person to that. Definitely the wrong call would have been to try and commit multiple people to try and steal the Drake or to try and go for a team fight.
So we are at 3, almost 32 minutes, and in 2 minutes Baron spawns, and 4 minutes Elder spawns, and it looks like Sentinels have elected to put all of their eggs in the Kale split push basket right now, as she's the one off. She's level 17, rid of people, and she's... Oh, she may be in trouble. Nope, she's going to back off right in that bush there.
She's the highest level in the game, so she should be able to 1v1 anyone on the map right now. I don't think that they can really siege that hard into this tower. They're 4 strong, but if they rotate the Sejuani down, that could be bad.
Caitlyn has got static shiv, so she does have more than abnormal wave clear.
Unfortunately, they're not able to get that engage. There was a little bit of a timing window that they could have gone for that.
So it's a 5v4 down here in bot as Kale's just going to try and get her split push on in mid lane this time.
So yeah, it's interesting how the tables have turned. We thought that Amber was going to be the split push team, but right now it looks like Sentinels is executing the split push a little bit better.
Oh, Kale is level 18. Here's the Realm Warp. There's the ult from Sejuani. Not in time as 4 members are chasing her off. Trundle's going to maybe play some defense. Those traps are just absolutely killer. Lysandra going to go over the... Not going to be enough. Caitlyn's going to try and dump off the damage. And we'll see if we're going to have a team fight here. It looks like Leona's gone way too far trying to go in. Jax is going to get ulted by the Sejuani as Jin is kiting on her way backwards. As Lysandra is gone golding and Jin is too much CC coming out. Kale pushing up in the top wave. Actually able to flash out of it. Jax is going to jump into the back line. Caitlyn ult comes and jump too far away. And now it's going to be time for the Trundle to fight 1v1 as Ryze is going to run back up to the top lane as we watch the Kale take down yet another tower. So... Amber 2 wins the team fight, but Sentinels taking towers. Baron is spawning in 10 seconds.
Yeah, again, the Jhin cannot fight into the Sejuani and the Nautilus. The Jhin is just not very strong against tanks. You have to have the Kale if you want to go for those team fights. And it looks like Amber's going to be able to get this Baron.
Yep. And with Baron buff, do you think they can get their push on now? Or do you think that they should just, I mean...
We got to see what the gold is pretty even now, actually, between the Jax and the Kale. So the Jax is level 17 to the level 18 of the Kale. It's possible that he's able to fight her now. Ryze, possible that he can fight the Kale as well. It's going to be very close, but I do think that they could set up the 1-3-1 right now if they wanted to.
Kale going for the attack speed. Now the real question is, will they use the Baron to properly push out the bot lanes in the mid lane to then look at fighting over the Elder? 3 Elder Dragon or 2 Elder Dragon is still going to be pretty prominent. I know it's the first one, but you don't want to just hand that one over and lose the rest of your Baron buff pressure.
Jax has got teleport. He could be split pushing. He could get that wave to tower in the minute that he's had in order before Elder Drake spawns. That creates pressure on the other side of the map that Sentinels has to.
Oh no! They caught out Lysandra. She's gonna flash, and there goes the cat ults, and down goes with the Realm Warp, so that with the Baron, they're able to push on. There's the teleport coming out on the side of Kayle, as Leona's going to go in here. Jin's going to open up and see as much damage as she can lay on, and Trundle's going to block as Kayle's pounding on the tanks in the back wave, and that's the tank damage busting that you were asking for. Jin's going to help finish that one out on the side. Caitlyn and Rise were able to finish off the Leona solo, so 2 kills coming on the side of each team. Actually 3, because Jax dropped as well. No one got on the Kayle.
No one got on the Kayle. The Kayle is priority number 1. If you're Amber 02, you've got to get on that Kayle. You got to be able to try and shut her down. That's the only person that can cut through your front line.
Yeah, and Trundle did an awesome job of just body blocking everything, so Jin was able to get off as much damage as possibly could with those 4th shots, those crits. Rise up here, and there's a teleport coming out from Lissandra. We'll see if this is going to be enough damage. Lissandra's going to go through, pops one more auto. Yep, down goes the tower. So nice job by Rise, you know, trying to get a little bit of return damage coming out. And now we
Baron
have
buff is almost going to be expired, and Sentinels has got the Elder for quite a while now.
So that's basically a 0 power play. They broke basically even on that for Amber 02.
Kayle is being really greedy
Kayle
right now.
Gets hooked, and there's going to be so much CC. There's the ultimate, and it's going to come up, prevent a lot of that damage, but Rise can... Oh my gosh.
That's a massive shutdown onto the Kayle. That pretty much negates your ability to do any type of Elder Drake push right now. Kayle's down for 52 seconds. So now Amber is on the offensive in the next 40 seconds. Jax, if he hard shoves this lane, might be able to get the bot inner tower.
Jax does not have the Baron buff, though, versus Caitlyn and Rise are the ones with the Baron buff.
Yep.
Trying to set up a siege.
Good job by Caitlyn setting up those traps. Trundle's going to try and answer.
And slash in on the Sejuani tower dive. Lissandra's going to self-ult and heal on up. Jin, nuts damage coming up, and that's not going to happen is they're just going to pop one out. And one more golden is gone. Animals, let's go see. It looks like Leona's going to flash out. And Q, one more, and Animal's going to fish this one out. Trundle is fighting down in the bot lane with the Jax here, as Kayle was not there for that fight. Rise taking 3 kills on that, but here comes the Kayle. Goes in with the ult immediately instead of just trying to get in, and Jax is going to come in and, takes down the Nautilus, but there's the stun coming out, and with Kayle gone down and Godlight on this Rise is Kazume. Trundle's trying to run up from the bottom, and let's see if it's going to be enough, and I don't think so, as Caitlyn's going to be able to get in onto this tower, and great job. Orb's not going to finish one off as Caitlyn's focusing the tower. Rise and Jax are focusing the Trundle, who's now going to finally go down. Rise gets a delayed pentakill there coming up on the side as Caitlyn's just going to focus this one out. And I think this one's going to go to Amber 02 in the best of 3 series. Amber 02 is going to finish off the Sentinels 2-0.
Wow, very impressive. Very surprising when the Kayle came off the fountain that she immediately ulted. I don't know if that was a misclick, but it looked like the Kayle was going to be able to clean up. But she wound up getting CC chained and wound up going down, and that opened the door for Amber to basically take that game away. Another game where I thought the Sentinels was in control, and then Amber just steals it away from them at the last second.
Yeah, the one team fight where they overpushed with the before Baron was spawning, right? They knew Baron was coming up, and they could have just backed off the reset to set up vision around it, and then they had the better objective control. They could have just set to take it. They overstepped, and because they overstepped, they Amber 02 was able to collapse on the Baron, and then the Sentinels turned it around, because I thought after getting the Elder Dragon they were in a good position, and then Kayle just once again one step too far, was doing a really good job. Forday was doing really well on the Kayle in this game, and just didn't have the proper vision, even though there was a lot of red vision in that jungle, did not have the proper vision at that time. Got picked, and it just snowballed from there. Amber 02 pushing to end the game 2 games in a row. Very risky, and yet they pulled it off, so congratulations.
Yeah, definitely. I think both teams can learn a lot from, so hopefully they'll watch the VODs and they'll be able to learn a little bit. I feel like Amber has the potential to set up some really gnarly split pushes if they get their lane assignments down a little bit cleaner and they understand vision control and the push pull relationship that you have to have when you're doing a 1-3-1. So it's gonna be interesting if they take this into the finals. This type of 1-3-1 strategy. It's very few teams that I see nowadays in the amateur league that go for this 1-3-1 style of play.
Yeah, we do see a lot of engaged comps, right? Team comps, team fighting, because
Yep.
you want something a lot different from the solo queue and just the random people going random directions. You want a focused, organized, controlled path, and a lot of times that involves a lot of 4-8 ARAMs, right?
Yep.
And ARAMs just going down. So um, it was really nice to see different styles coming out, um, and different ways of control and fighting back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not, having your head down and being distraught and coming back. And even after that base race, Sentinels came out in game 2, and while they played it slow, they definitely showed that they had really good control in that early game, in the mid game.
Yeah, it definitely was a very back and forth game. I think in both of those matches, I felt like Sentinels uh, was in the driver's seat, and then Amber fought back and was able to get a few picks and able to, make a few gutsy calls that wound up getting them the win in both of those games. So it'd be very interesting to see how Amber adjusts moving into their next round of matches.
Yeah, so we are going to move rooms because we're in the jump down to the.
All right.
Just any other last minute thoughts before we get an interview in here?
No, I think that both teams played pretty well. I think both teams had a shot to win, and Amber too was able to just squeak it out with just a few mistakes here or there, a few slightly different calls here or there, and it could have gone completely the different way.
So how do I do?
So is anybody being offered up as tribute?
Hello, I pulled you.
Oh,
What's up? So I'm gonna say your name wrong again, but is it Kazu? Kazu?
it can either go Kazu or Kazui. I like Kazui better. So.
Okay, Kazui. Welcome. It's Amo and the Randomonium here. We watched you guys pull off the 2-0 in. Okay, you guys won a base race in game 1. What happened?
That was like a clutch moment for us. We noticed that they were just TPing in after we saw 3 top and we had 4 mid. So after that we were like, we'll just base race, and then we saw the Fiora was gonna be up before then, so we figured she could hold him off long enough for us just to end the game that first time. So that one was just, I feel like, a clutch for us. We really shouldn't have won that to begin with, but we managed to pull it out.
So before we get to the base race, set it up, right? You picked your team comp. Fiora is exploding in the top half of the map, catching on fire, but the rest of the map's not going so hot.
Yeah, we were trying to work on our comp that we made, and we just executed it wrong. We had the member that we needed to get fed early, but the execution just wasn't there for us, and it's something we probably should work on, though.
So, go ahead, Randomonium. Probably got a couple of questions.
But yeah, one of the hardest problems though is from when we started having our team changing. We had to change our playstyle because it went from only picking meta picks to now us playing what we feel more comfortable on. So when we ended up swapping the roster, a big thanks for Momentum for helping us here in these 2 games. But when we had to swap Anna for Zera, it kind of was a new adjustment, and we're still trying to work with a new roster.
Yeah, so is that what kind of contributed to the bot lane being a little not as clean? Is just the fact that you had to sub a new player in?
Yeah, we feel like we all need to work together more as this roster, and hopefully we can still use momentum for the next game, just because now we have more practice with them. But we just need to work better because we just had a hard roster change.
Yeah, so kind of going into that with the new communication for the playoffs and the scheduling, talk about how were you guys able to make that communication in the rotation from being behind in gold to making those decisions to actually to pull out those wins.
So for us, we just kind of saw like the amount of place where we would see that they would like kind of start throwing with some 8 plays, and so we kind of was able to punish them on that.
Were you guys aware of the timers in that aspect of the dragons and the barons? Because you guys seem to, at least towards the end of the game, play around when those objectives would be coming up relatively well.
Yeah, we when we would try to match like our team fights around it, and we would try to force them into a team fight when we realized the Kale was top and she didn't have TP. So we just ended up fighting him there to where we could get Baron.
So going into game 2, you guys seem to have a real specific plan, especially for the bot lane, on how to make it a more level game. But because of that, the Kale was a lot stronger against the Jax in the top. So
yeah,
while
see,
there was
our top laner went ape and he started building wrong. And so after that, he kind of just threw his lead. And so from there, we were having hard times like making plays throughout the map after that, after we put our resources into our top laner. And he just like chunk it out the window.
That can happen. We don't always make the best decisions every single time. The first one ended in a barn burner, and the second one almost did it as well. Was there like a point where your team was just like, just go?
Well, yeah, after a while, we were like realizing if we don't start forcing something, we'll just bleed out. And so when we saw that they were like over pushing and overstaying, we just decided to capitalize on that.
Yeah. So, you guys are now in the finals. What are you looking forward to?
So for the finals, we don't know who exactly we're facing currently, but we are looking actually forward to it. And as a group, we've actually been enjoying playing it more. So I'm pretty sure this finals would probably be better for us than if it's men-women tournament than when we played them last time, who we probably think it's gonna win.
Yeah, so their match was one of the other ones that happened tonight, but I'm not gonna relieve any spoilers or at the moment because people are still watching, and we will be running the stream of the VODs of that matchup sometime, I think, over the weekend. So definitely
Nice.
tune into that, and we'll have more details coming in. So do you want to say anything else before we head on out of here?
Yeah, actually, I have one last thing to say. It's impressive to see how much better people can play when we can remove toxic people out. That's kind of holding everyone back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, not everyone is going to work great on the same team, and sometimes toxicity isn't the word that I would use, but
it was pretty rough.
I mean, hey, we've all been on teams that things didn't get along well, and just like in real sports and everything, a new situation, new players allows for a better opportunity for everyone. So, and with that, Rain and Morning, what do you have to finish us off here?
Nothing much. Great job by Amber to pull out 2 clutch wins, and I'm looking forward to seeing them in the finals.
Okay, so thank everyone for watching, and I will be kicking this over to the YouTube probably later this weekend and getting it off of my Twitch here. So thank you everyone for watching. We have more playoff matches coming up later this week, so definitely look out for them. I believe one on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check the time on that, but thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night.